Today's date is April the 25th, 2023. We have present for the Legal Report Board is myself, Nate Jackson. We have Commissioner Kramer, Carl Kramer. We have Commissioner Ian Levy. I don't know what happened to our chairman. Here he comes. Okay, our chairman is coming in. We also have present our director, Lawrence. We have Jason Gilliam. We have our two attorneys, Erica Smith. We have Hilton Taylor. I know we had Bob Weaver. We got Barry Whitson in the back. And I don't know who else we got in the audience here. So, and the young man here, didn't get his name. Chris Russell. We have Chris Russell this morning. Okay, so we can get started. I'm going to turn the report over to the staff so we can get started, okay?
Thank you. This is Erica Smith. Chairman, would you like to start with any questions you have about? Okay.
Can you make sure your microphone is on?
There we go. Should be on now. Number one, would a letter of warning be better in this case? I know that there were like 4 emails by an or about this.
No, yeah, I kind of agree with you. We spoke about it a lot, about going back and forth, and that's why we ended up with just one fine. Typically, we fine per vehicle, and then we're like, should we do a letter of warning? Because I do agree. I truly don't think that they meant to do it. I think this person just wanted to change their car a lot and didn't realize what they were doing. So I'm open to either, like to a letter of warning, or I think either is amenable and would work fine.
I think a letter.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I'll change that.
I agree.
Okay with that. Anyway, then number 13, probably the correct result has come about by y'all's decision, but turning back the mileage 3,000 miles on a 180,000 mile vehicle seems a little hard to believe. I'll find that in your search on this. I mean, it's just, I can't imagine somebody just cutting the miles 3,000 miles.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about this one either because there wasn't anything necessarily found that they did wrong, and that's why I kind of just, I think a letter of instruction is just, we're not saying that you did necessarily anything wrong, but here are the rules and regulations that you need to be aware of going forward. I think that's kind of just like in the middle, just to let them know what the rules are regarding that, but not saying you did anything wrong necessarily.
But also the 8, because of the former law, out of 10 has been model year title. To bring you.
I appreciate, yeah, that's good to know. Yeah. So, are you okay with the letter of instruction, or?
I think so.
Yeah, I just think we're not saying that we necessarily caught you doing anything or warning you that you did something wrong. Just kind of, just instructing.
Number 14, I've not seen this before. Maybe some of the other of you all have, but requiring an action plan seems somewhat unusual.
Yeah, this is something we all also discussed about for this one. This one is just because they had, I believe we ended on that one was because they just had multiple complaints about the same thing where they had an issue, and then they informed me, their attorney, their counsel informed me that they created a plan of how to mitigate this problem going forward, and steps that they've taken, and they've hired new management, and that they've changed their protocol and their training. And so we were just talking, and I think Denise and I were just saying we would like to just see what their plan was. And so just kind of putting that in there, since they brought it up, they said they have no problem like providing it. Yeah, it's not a typical thing that we asked for. Mm-hmm. So should we keep that the same? Or are you not wanting to require them to supply that? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
I just might remind the members of the legal committee, this particular complaint, though anonymous, was highlighted on the news. So this is one of the ones that was on the news on Channel 4. And I think that it is in their best interest to comply going forward. I don't necessarily know that we need a mitigation plan, but I think that they're probably going to supply us with more than what is required.
Yeah, they've been very yeah. That's why I was saying they would have they've informed me that they would provide a detailed explanation if they want to, and I think that's kind of how we got on that. But if you're not wanting it in the recommendation, that's fine with me. And I've spoken with their counsel multiple times, and I can ask him just to speak with me and walk me through, just so we are aware if that's something you would rather have.
I mean, since they offered it, so that I understand you're concerned about precedent. It's not something we're requiring, but why don't we, in the language, we can acknowledge that they offered a mitigation plan, and the department will update it.
Talking about 14, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. When I'm offering them the consent order, I can kind of just add in there. I know that we have spoken, and you said you have no problem providing the detailed information, and we would love to have that if you're so willing.
I think it's fine to reference that they offered the mitigation plan.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
it will be
explanation.
provided, as offered by the respondent.
Okay. In the recommendation part, or
Yeah, just acknowledging that they offered it, and you're
Okay.
accepting, not that we're recommending.
okay.
23, just asking your thoughts on that one. Is the staff leaning toward revocation of the license?
Yes, this one is mine, and as you see, we have two similar complaints about the respondent selling a salvage vehicle without a rebuilt title, issuing temp tags, and we also have another complaint from the past that's exactly like these two, where the respondent has not signed the consent order. We've talked to him, and he said he would sign it, but he still hasn't. And when I discussed this matter with the director prior to today, we thought this might be one where the commission may have questions for the respondent before making a decision about such a serious penalty of revocation. So the respondent agreed to appear today. They called me on the way in. I didn't know they were coming until about 5 minutes before I got here when they called me, or I would have let you know. But they said that they should be here, but it probably will be not until the board meeting starts. So I mean, I can leave it up to you. If you would like to ask the respondent questions, they will be here. Yeah, and they are driving in from Illinois, which also I just found out 5 minutes before this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So if you would like a chance.
How can we handle this and close out the legal review? How can we do that?
We can hold it for the vote until the board meeting,
Okay.
and we can bring them up and the anybody that has questions about it before making a decision.
Yeah, we could just.
How does that
specify-
sound?
We could just
Sounds
specify
good.
in the
Okay.
motion
I'm
that
okay
we're
with
not
it.
voting on number.
Chairman Jackson?
Not voting on 23? Okay.
Yeah, just specify in the motion that we're leaving 23 out for further
Keeping
consideration.
it open.
Mm-hmm.
24, I guess just adding that should the Tennessee auto auctions be put on?
Yes, I can add that to the recommendation.
I've forward that one to.
And for 25, okay.
Six, should there be a letter of warning regarding failure?
Well,
Because you really can't hide behind the as is as a reason.
it says flood damage on the title. So if we don't feel like that is,
True.
so I don't know. I don't know where else I guess you could put it in the,
That one off.
okay.
Yeah. Because flood damage, you say flood damage was on the
so there's
title.
no
Yes.
reason
Okay.
to,
Yeah. I don't think we need to do anything else.
Number 29, is there any way to establish that they were operating as a dealer without a license? Did you find that, or does that seem that might be the case?
Just reading over this one really quickly.
Mr. Chairman, while she's reading that one over, can we go back to number 26? Because I think the real question is, or the real issue is, that it wasn't disclosed at the time of the sale. It may be on the title, but the flood damage wasn't disclosed at the time of the sale.
So, recommending a letter of warning,
I
then.
think in that case we would. On the title, but they didn't disclose it, so they wouldn't have bought it if they didn't know it. They didn't have a choice.
They probably didn't see the title until afterwards, yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner, do we agree that we ought to number 26, we should add a letter of warning? Anybody? Okay, good.
Back to
I don't see anything in the file indicating that. In the specific complainant in this case did not participate in the investigation, or there was an inspection in an investigation.
bit of might check with
We can send this one back out for investigation and have the specifically request that they go back out and speak with the local county clerk.
30 petition. I would refer to Department of Revenue.
Any other?
Yes.
Okay.
Got just 2, 3 more.
Okay.
Number 32. Proper name is the Mississippi Motor. Also on last word, second paragraph.
All right, could you say that one more time? Second paragraph.
Second paragraph. We changed from respondent to not. You've got two talking to each other.
$32.
I read it wrong.
And Mr. Chairman, can you speak a little closer to the mic?
I will.
Thank you.
Do you mind to read the sentence I'm talking about? I don't know if we're just missing it or.
So, speaking of where it said the Secretary of State website showed respondent to be dissolved on August 6th with the managing partner as the respondent agent. Is that where you? Don't either.
I don't see that the complainant would be involved in this corporate filing here. So
Let's skip over that one.
Okay, but just change. But for that one, you need to change it to Mississippi's Motor Vehicle Commission.
Yes.
Okay.
48. I see your letter of instruction. Can you elaborate on your recommendations and your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry. Would you mind to ask that one more time? I was trying to get to 48.
Your respondent title, ain't it? That was really unusual because you've got
Yeah.
a fee in there.
Yeah, we
And it's
we
100
talked about this one a lot too, which was it was a weird one. We weren't sure kind of what the holdup was and exactly what the 115.
Typically, we're not allowed that I know of, and Carl, you might can talk about this a little bit too, but we're not allowed to mark up government fees.
That's what
Yeah,
we
and then
thought.
that's what we discussed, and then we're like, well, maybe they're trying to say it's part of their business practice, the cost of getting it, so forth, so not. But we kind of thought that too, and that's why we're instructing them to release it without
Instead
the
of
payment.
disciplining
Yeah,
them, just tell them they
to
have
let
to.
them know like you can't do this going forward. Because what they explained to me was, well, they thought it was just part of their business practice that
Okay.
they could charge if they had their employees spend the time to do this. They had their employees spend X hours to do this. Apply. They already gave them the license. They spent the money to mail it, so on and so forth. They thought it was kind of more part of a business practice, so that's why we were thinking the letter of instruction, one, instructing them that they cannot do this going forward, and two, instructing them to release the duplicate title to the consumer.
All right. Well, that sounds like that's so we've got that under control. 63. I think it's 63 and 4.
I had the same one.
I think that the temporary closing of it for 5 days would be a good solution to that. Not a total getting rid of, revocating the dealer's license, but doing a 5-day suspension.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a great recommendation on top of the civil penalty
Sure.
to let them know how serious this matter is,
Pretty egregious.
especially considering the very clear warning that, I personally wrote the letter and I went back and looked at it to make sure that it was clear. And that was just November of 2021. And when we had the investigator go out this time, they met with the same person they met with last time. They acknowledged that they knew that they weren't supposed to be doing this and had no excuse. So I think that's a good compromise to shut them down for 5 days as part of that penalty.
Have the staff ability to.
Yes, I did discuss that idea with the director, and we feel that we can send out someone to make sure that that's happening.
Personally, I didn't know that you could sell used cars and on the lot of a new car dealership. I didn't realize.
Can do that
Can
if
do
it's
that.
at your location, but
Okay.
they were using off-site
Location.
Yes, they
Yeah.
were using 3 different used dealerships. That we honestly that they admitted to that because we had only went to one of them.
Let me ask you this: what was the benefit? How did they benefit doing that?
Well, they went on into Commissioner Jackson. They also went into taking off the Moroni stickers, which is another issue all on its own. Which, you just can't. You're not supposed to do that on the first.
Gotcha. I kept trying to figure out what was they benefiting from doing
They
that.
were. I guess they were thinking they could sell them better or higher
Higher.
if they were a used car, and for more than the window sticker suggested. So I don't know.
Good.
Really, that's all I've got. If anybody else wants to.
I got Chairman Roberts and to the staff. 75 through 87, I mentioned to Chairman Roberts. I saw where if you had a lease vehicle through those, that if you had a lease vehicle, it wasn't covered under the surety bond.
Right. That is true.
And honestly, we were perplexed by that as well. Jason and I actually had a conversation with Travelers who issued the security bond for all of these dealerships, and frankly, I think he was a little surprised. And I don't know if it's the way it was worded, but prior to convening our legal committee, in consultation with staff and some other people, we think it's a good idea if I get back in touch with him and press a little bit on why that's happened. Certainly $50,000 is not going to cover in any way, shape, or form. But we literally had people from Alabama calling us for pleading for assistance and help because their state wasn't really doing anything. But I'll follow up with them again and see if I can get some clarity, push them for some clarity, and we'll report on that at our next meeting.
Great, good. Any commissioner got any other questions on the report? Good.
Sorry about that. I didn't
That's
mean to-
okay. You said you're gonna take the place of Stan. And
I did.
Chairman, I have one question. Could we
Sure.
go back to number 63, 64, and 65, which involve the same,
fine.
entity? And this is the one that had the egregious violations. They did mention to us that, I think according to legal, that they had done it at their other two locations, though we don't have a complaint on those other two locations. My question would be, do we want to impose a 5-day suspension on all 3 locations or just the one?
Well, it would be all 4. The
All
new,
4,
the
yes,
new
I'm
one,
sorry.
the new franchise dealer, and then the 3 used dealer locations.
Just a question.
Good with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a violation, and they did it on all 4 locations.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. I just,
Other concerns or any comments or observation? Okay, hearing none. I need a motion to adopt the legal report subject to number, what number was that? Number 24,
23.
23, except for we're leaving out number 23, subject to the full commissioner vote.
As Commissioner Levy, I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll say.
All those in favor to signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it, so ordered. That's conclude our legal report. It's about 9:20.
Minutes to go.
Yeah.
Get into the meeting. We've got one new staff person that's here today. Name is Neil Alfer. Did I say that correct? Okay. Would you just explain to us and just tell us what you're going to be doing, and this is your first day, right?
Yesterday was my first day, and I'm going to be the attorney for this board, one of the attorneys for this board moving forward. So
Erica, and
that's my understanding. Yes, sir.
want to make sure we weren't losing anybody in the lineup. Okay, we're glad to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here. Thank you.
All right. Will Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll?
absolutely, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Andrews is en route. Commissioner Barker is absent. Commissioner Elam is present. Commissioner Evans is en route. Commissioner Galvin is absent. Commissioner Jackson
Here.
is present. Commissioner Kramer
Here.
is present. Commissioner Levy is present. Commissioner Melton is present. Commissioner Norton is absent. Commissioner Speaker
Here.
is present. Commissioner Vaughn
Here.
is present. Commissioner Watson is present. Commissioner West
Here.
is present. And Chairman Roberts is present. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
We got a couple of meeting notice went out, and I guess up to it or the we have to. Okay. Right. The notice went out. What's your pleasure on the notice?
We don't have to
We don't
adopt it.
have
I
to-
just have to
I
read
thought
it.
you said.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. I
All right.
apologize.
You've got to read it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This meeting's date, time, and location have been noticed on the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission website, including as part of this year's meeting calendar since November 20th of 2022. Additionally, the agenda for this month's meeting has been posted on the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission's website since April 19th, 2023. This meeting has also been noticed on the tn.gov website.
Need to adopt the agenda for today's meeting.
Mr. Jackson, motion that we adopt the April 25th, 2023 agenda.
Commissioner Vaughn, second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, the agenda is adopted. Everyone got the minutes to the previous quarterly meeting in which your pleasure on the minute.
Jackson, motion to adopt the minutes for January 23rd, 2023.
Any further discussion? Let's have a roll call vote for this one.
Motion is to adopt,
To approve.
approve the minutes from previous meeting. Commissioner Levy?
Yes.
Commissioner Levy votes aye. Commissioner West?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Melton? Votes aye. Commissioner Elam? Votes aye. Commissioner Watson? Votes aye. Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. You have approved the minutes.
Salesperson, dealer appeals. Who would like to start us off on that?
I can do that. Let's see what first one. So our first appeal is for Mohammed Kaman. Is Mr. Kaman? Okay, you go right. And we denied Mr. Kaman's salesperson application based on a conviction of a Class C felony of aggravated assault. 5 years. Well, the date of the end of his probation or release was May 12th, 2022. So we add 5 years to that. So we have discretion to deny Mr. Kaman until May of 2027 based on the Fresh Start Act. So if you'd like to talk to Mr. Kaman.
Yes, would you like to address us and kind of give us your version of what's going on in your life?
Yes, sir. As a youthful adult, I made a mistake back in 2011. I got into an altercation. This is probably 12 years ago. I went through a very lengthy and difficult legal process that happened to end in 2016. I went through a trial, an actual trial, and it was a mistrial. So there was some doubt in my case. I take full responsibility for what happened. I've prepared a statement for you guys. If you guys would like to read it, it's probably better that way because I get a little emotional speaking. So if that's okay.
Why don't you go ahead and speak to it if you don't mind?
Okay. So
Take us a little time to get it on our devices and pull it up.
okay. So I just want to express my sincere regret for what happened in my past. I've grown into this. This is my wife with me. She's also the owner of Alpha Motors. I do not sell cars, but I do manage things in the background, just to be completely honest with you guys. I help run a very successful and clean business. Like I said, I made a mistake in my past, and I'm really, really sorry about it. If you guys could please take into consideration some of the circumstances around what happened to me, and grant me my dealer license back.
Questions?
Commissioner Vaughn, I have a few questions. Can you tell us a little bit more about the incident of what happened?
Yes. So I was 21 years old. It was a football night. I went out with a bunch of friends. It was September 11, 9/11. I am Arab American, so there was some chit chat. I mean, I've had stuff like that happen to me throughout my life here in the States, after, things like that. So there was just a lot of chit chat happening. I remember I was really drunk, intoxicated. A big brawl happened behind the bar, and a boy got injured pretty badly. There were no weapons involved or anything like that, but he was injured really bad, and I was at fault. I was involved in that altercation. So I didn't flee like a bunch of other people. There was a lot of people involved in it. I didn't flee. I hung around, and I was arrested. One of my co-defendants was involved in the case, and I feel like he did the majority of the injury, the battery. But like I said, I am responsible. I don't deny anything that happened, and I regret everything that happened. But I do feel like I was a little bit, I don't want to use the wrong words here, but a little targeted by the state back in Knoxville, because he ended up getting his sentence dropped down to a misdemeanor, and then I ended up getting the felony. I had to fight it for a very long time, so I was in and out of the courtrooms. So,
Were you required to make any restitution?
yeah, and it was all took care of.
You've completed
Yes,
all
everything. I have a certificate of employability from the judge. He granted that to me. I have that here with me. I was let off of supervised probation really early. My probation officers were eager. They came and visited my home multiple times. I spent 7 months in the county jail on a split confinement sentence. They would visit my home, and they really liked me. They encouraged me to go and ask the judge to get on unsupervised probation pretty early into my sentence. At first, he was a little reluctant to do it because it was so early. So he said, come back in about a year. Went back. He let me off unsupervised, and since then I've been clear. I follow all laws, rules, and regulations. I pay my taxes.
So no incidents since then. No legal trouble or anything like that.
Yep.
No drug, alcohol problem or issue.
Absolutely not.
Okay, I have no more questions.
Commissioner Levy, when did your probation end?
It ended 2022, last year, May. Yeah.
Even though the incident was back in 2011,
11, yes,
it
sir.
stretched out all the way through.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
2016 looks like when I guess you pled guilty.
That's correct.
And then probation until last year.
Oh, 12 years, 12 years. The duration of the entire incident and process. Yeah.
Questions from for your wife to
this issue back from his he grew into the car business. It's
state your name.
It's Nisrin Haidar. Okay. He grew into the car business his whole life. It's what his father does. It's what his uncles do. So he's all car business. Like, he knows everything. And since I met him, he's changed tenfold. You know, he's a completely different person. He was young, 21 years old. I mean, he's 33 now. So it's a big difference. And not having his dealer license holds him back from his fullest potential. I mean, this is his passion. This is what he loves to do. There's nothing else in the world he can imagine being or wanting to do. And, you know, we have 2 daughters, so he has to be able to fully provide for them, take care of them, you know, be able to be everything he can for them. And this definitely is like a setback. So we just hope that you guys consider that.
I assume you're going to be a support for him.
I'm always his support. I've always been his support. He's great. He's a wonderful husband and even better father. You know, everybody, we actually have, like, you know, he wanted to go all out. He's got letters of recommendations. I mean, he's got connections with people. He's just an all-around great person. Thank you, guys.
Commissioner Jackson, just a question for the staff. Based on what he just informed us about his past, did the staff check into any of this information to verify?
Well, as far as I know, I wasn't given any of these additional documents. It sounds like maybe you brought them.
All physical,
So
yeah.
normally that's not something we get on the front end. So, but I also want to make a correction. I stated this was for a salesperson application, and I misspoke. It's for a dealer application.
But I picked up on.
Yes, just want to make that clear.
Sorry, it is for a salesman license, but I'm considering them both kind of.
We only have a deal.
I thought we just had a dealer application.
Have you filled out the salesperson application already?
Yeah, that's what was initially.
Okay.
So it is for a salesperson.
It is salesperson.
Okay, so I was right.
It is.
Okay.
But I'm considering the salesperson license. Basically.
wise to have both.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, today's for just salesperson.
Mr. Jackson, motion to grant him the license.
Commissioner Vaughn, second.
Discussion? We'll vote on this.
The motion by Commissioner Jackson is to grant licensure. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Melton? Votes aye. Commissioner Elam? Votes aye. Commissioner Andrews? Abstains? Commissioner Watson?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Evans?
Pass.
Passes. And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. Mr. Kaman, you have been granted licensure by the Motor Vehicle Commission, and we will email that a copy of that license to you today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next.
Okay, our next appeal is for Allison Miracle. And we denied this salesperson application based on 2 convictions of moral turpitude, and they are both for theft of property. We have discretion to deny this application until February of 2026 based on the Fresh Start Act. And because the convictions do constitute crimes of moral turpitude and they directly relate to the profession, that is how we came to the conclusion of denying this application.
But do we have the rights legally to?
Yes.
Okay. To grant it. Okay. Right. Ms. Miracle, would you like to address this and tell us a little bit of?
Yeah. So the crimes that were committed were roughly like 6.5 years ago, I believe. I was in a pretty bad spot then. I was going through a custody battle with my parents over my sons, and I turned to the wrong side of life, which led into the illegal activities that I took place in. The items that I was accused of stealing actually came from my home. I lived at the address. The firearm was mine. I had put it in a pawn shop 13 times over the past 8 years back then, and my dad had the serial number. The dog pen was mine. My dogs was in it. My grandmother wanted it out of our yard, and so I sold it. So that is how those charges got put on me. I put myself in a rehab back then to get out of the mess, and I have been good for 6.5 years.
Commissioner Vaughn, so it was theft of property. Was the property, it belonged to your parents? Is that what you're saying?
The firearm was mine. I had a ex-husband that committed suicide back in 2014. It was our firearm together. My dad had accessed the VIN number off the gun and turned that in as it was his. The dog pen belonged to me and my parents, but it was at my grandmother's yard. That's where I was living at the time. It had rusted holes in it. It wasn't worth the amount that they turned in, but I guess that the dog pen was mine and theirs. To answer you honestly, I don't know how to say it any other way.
Have you had any issues since all of this occurred?
I've had a couple of shoplifting charges since then. Nothing big after that. Like I said, I went and I got myself help and got into this profession, and I'm doing really good. I love it there.
When was the last time you had a legal issue?
Probably 2 years, I think.
2 years ago?
Year and a half, 2 years ago, yeah.
Okay.
And it was a shoplifting at Walmart. My daughter had opened Easter eggs, and I didn't scan them all, so I took them out. So that led into shoplifting.
So you said that you were I would assume into drugs and things like that. Is that what you were saying before?
Yeah, six
So
and a half
you've-
years ago. Yeah, when I was 23 years old, I turned to that.
So have you been seeking help, and are you,
I,
in a,
I
are you
put
currently in a
myself in a
program?
rehabilitation back then.
Okay.
Yes.
And are you still in a program or still getting help?
I do like the NAs on my own time and celebrate recovery with my church, but it's not a have to. I choose to do it just to keep myself where I need to be.
Questions?
Have you reconciled with your parents?
My parents are actually both deceased. They both had alcohol and drug issues, and my dad has been gone for 3 years this year. My mom passed away 4 years ago. I did get to reconcile with my dad 2 weeks before he passed.
I see that you brought somebody.
Hi, my name is Ashley Hodge. I actually am an agent at the dealership where she is trying to regain her sales license at. She's been employed there for quite some time. We love having her there, and we'd like to really keep her on board as a salesperson. She's really good with people. I mean, she just really kind of has that touch with people. You know what I mean? And I mean, we're hoping to keep her. That's why I came with her today.
Will you be her supervisor?
I am, in a way, yes.
Well, in the future, if she gets her sales license, will you be her supervisor at that point?
Yes.
Just the Walmart incident. I know about the scan. So you scanned some item, but you failed to scan.
My daughter had opened a bag of Easter eggs, and I thought it was just the one bag, and it was multiple things that had come out of this. I guess it was like a gift type thing, and so therefore I didn't scan everything. I scanned the bag of Easter eggs and not the big thing. I thought it was all one container, and I explained that to them, and they actually dismissed that in court. But
That's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
Were you charged with that?
No, whenever I got there, the DA told me that they looked at the stuff and they dismissed it.
Thank you.
Clarifying that.
Commissioner Jackson, motion that we grant a license.
Other Director Lawrence, will you call the roll?
Yes, sir. The motion by Commissioner Jackson is to grant licensure. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Melton? Votes aye. Commissioner Elam? Votes aye. Commissioner Andrews? Votes aye. Commissioner Watson?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Evans?
Aye.
Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. Ms. Miracle, the commission has voted to grant you licensure, and we will email you a copy of that today.
Know exactly where that's going to be emailed to. They have a couple of emails on file. Just whatever they have on file for us.
It will be whatever you have on file, but if you want to stop by and give me the email you'd like it sent to, we'll make sure it goes there. Okay? Okay. Perfect.
Next.
Our next appeal will be Stephen Lauerman. Is Mr. Lauerman here? And we denied this salesperson application based on one conviction of moral turpitude, which was the conviction for shoplifting. We have the discretion to deny this applicant until August of 2024. But the commission, this is an appeal, and you have the ability to override that.
Alderman, like to address
Yes. So,
circumstance.
okay. So I dealt with alcoholism for several years, and when this charge took place, I was highly intoxicated, and I take full responsibility for my actions. You know, I'm not just blaming it on that. You know, I messed up, but I've been sober for 4.5 years. I'm an active member of Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, my life has changed quite a bit since then. You know, I'm married, I have a small child, you know, and I've finally found a career that fits me. And, you know, now I understand why I was denied, but that's really about all I have to say about the situation.
Questions?
Commissioner Vaughn, I have a few questions. Can you tell us about the incident? What happened?
Yes, I was highly intoxicated, and I was actually going into a store to steal to trade for drugs. That was me being as brutally honest as I can be. So that's what happened.
That's exactly what we're looking for, is brutally honest. Did you make full restitution?
I have,
Okay.
yes.
And you said you've been involved in rehab or Alcoholics Anonymous and things like that?
And when that incident took place, I was actually in the process of trying to get into treatment. I was desperately trying to get into treatment. You know, I was in a really bad place. And that was probably 2 months before I got into treatment. And then I lived at a halfway house for about 18 months. And, you know, so this was all on my own accord. I wasn't forced to do this. Something that I wanted and continue to desire. So.
All for me.
Longer.
No, he answered all the questions before I even asked. So
That's great. Any other questions?
Actually, I have one question. We have two documents here, one relating to a shoplifting and one relating to a public intoxication. Is that from the same event?
Possibly. I mean, that's a little blur. I know I have other public intoxications besides that one, so it very well could have been. If it was 2018, then it was the same event.
They're both dated July 12th, 2018. So
okay.
And what was the outcome of you pled guilty, and what was the sentence?
Well, I had supervised probation for a year and quite a bit of community service, which I had completed all that. You know, no issues.
No incidents since this matter's been closed out?
No. I tend to follow the law when I'm not drinking and drugging, so.
Still drink?
No, absolutely not.
When was your last drink?
Let's see, September 9th of 2018.
Commissioner Evans, and maybe this is a question for legal, but can you talk more about this domestic assault?
Yes, actually, that charge was dropped. That was an incident where I was actually living at home at the time, and my sister was also there, and we were arguing, and she wound up calling the police, and they took both of us to jail, if that tells you anything. So, no, that was dropped. You know, there was no physical contact whatsoever in that incident. So.
Why did she call the police?
We were both heavily intoxicated, and she's a little malicious, or was a little malicious, so.
From your.
My name's Walter Lee. I'm one of the senior sales and training supervisors at Nissan of Cookville. I've personally known, we call him Cole. I've known Cole for the last 8 years. He has been clean and sober for at least 4 years. I believe it's a little longer than 4 years. I also am in recovery. I have 21 years clean and sober, member in good standing of Alcoholics Anonymous. Have been working for Nissan of Cookville for the last 8 years, and over time, once I saw that Cole was really going to apply himself to the principles of recovery and whatnot. In talking to him, I suggested that he may come over to the dealership and talk to them about possibly coming on board with us. He interviewed well with all four of the managers, all five of the managers, and then was hired on. Things were going smooth until we hit this little snag. I know his wife. I know his 18-month-old son Jack. Since his last run-in with the trouble, and since going through the outpatient treatment and the halfway house experience, he's had no further problems with either the law or with any substance abuses.
I'd like to make a motion, we grant the license.
Discussion. Lawrence, will you call the roll?
Motion made by Commissioner Vaughn is to grant licensure. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Melton? Votes aye. Commissioner Elam? Votes aye. Commissioner Andrews? Votes aye. Commissioner Watson?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. Mr. Laumer, the commission has granted licensure for you as a salesperson, and we will email. I'm sorry. I checked you off. Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
It's unanimous. I apologize.
She voted on your behalf.
I apologize. The commission has voted to grant you licensure, and we will email you a copy of that today.
Okay. Thank you. Could I ask which email address you're sending that to?
If you'll come over here and whisper in my ear, I'll make sure it goes to the one you want it to.
Okay. I think it's Lowerman 1980.
Or we'll get it there.
Okay.
Take the next.
Yes, we have one more appeal. This is the final appeal. Mr. Terry Phillips. Okay. The program denied this applicant for a salesperson license based on conviction of moral turpitude of first-degree murder. The applicant was sentenced to life in prison without parole. So counsel is not clear on how the applicant was released, but he's here, so I'm sure you can ask him about that. It's a Class A felony, and technically we have the discretion to deny forever because the sentence was life without parole. So
like to address.
Yes, sir. My name's Terry Phillips. I did not get a sentence of life without parole. That's not accurate. I did, however, receive a life sentence. But I do have parole. Obviously, I do because I'm here. I also have some attachments I'd like y'all to read. Is that okay?
I don't know that we'll be able to go through it, but you can send it out, and
I just want to just have
to scan it.
And the reason that this is important is because I want y'all to know what I've been doing. My crime happened in 1988. I was 20 years old. I'm like some of the other stories. I was involved in drugs and alcohol. I don't use that as an excuse. but it is definitely a factor in what happened in 1988. My crime happened almost 35 years ago. I was incarcerated for this crime for 27 years. While I was incarcerated, I was a model prisoner. I've got a clean disciplinary history. I've not had a positive drug screen in 35 years, both in prison and on the streets. I've been out for almost 8 years. On the first page, you can see some of the things that I've been involved with since I've been out for 8 years. While I was incarcerated, I wrote a 12-week victim impact program for the Department of Corrections that they use in all the facilities in the state of Tennessee. I also wrote a pre-release program for prisoners fixing to be released from prison, and also started the first career center within the prison system at Riverbend Maximum Security Institution in Nashville. I'm like a lot of us who did an extended number of years. I've got a doctorate degree. I've got 2 master's degrees, all related to ministry. I had this big dream when I got out. I wanted to be a preacher and have my own church. And I started to pursue that dream. I ran a rehab center for a couple years, of which I started myself. Had that for a couple years, trying to help people get off drugs and get clean. Obviously, that turned into a nightmare because, you know, it's hard to help people that don't want to have help. So my wife and I decided to do something different. So in that time, I got involved with car sales, getting involved with the car dealership and stuff like that, learning the ins and outs of sales. Before I was denied my license the first time, I had a little bit of time to be able to be mentored and learn the process and customer service skills and all that kind of stuff to help people find their dreams and their dream vehicles. Currently, I'm just working at the dealership, helping manage the lot. I porter vehicles and working in the service department right now. But my dream is to be able to get back into sales at some point and be able to pursue my dream of helping other people find their dream vehicles. I know on paper it looks really bad, but I have used my life in service to other people since I've been in prison and since I've been released, as you can tell from my history. I do have a letter in there from my current parole officer who has recommended that I be taken off of parole. His goal is to help me get off parole, to get off of supervisions, and so that I can get my life back. One of the things that's motivated me is because you can never really repair the damage that you've done in people's lives by your bad choices. I fully understand the consequences of bad choices. I've suffered greatly in my life, and I've deserved every bit of it. I get it. I've had door after door after door, whether it's employment or other opportunities, slammed in my face. So I understand that too. I understand the consequences of bad decisions. And I just, would hope that you could understand I was 20 years old when that happened. I'm going to be 56 years old this year. And I'm just asking for a chance to redeem myself and to show this board and the state of Tennessee that I can do better if you give me a chance. I do have plenty of accountability in my life. I've got a pastor, I've got parole officers, I've got people in my life that I'm accountable to. I have Ashley, my sales manager, our sales manager, the general manager of the dealership, and most of all, my wife, who'll kick my butt if I don't do right. But I'm just asking for this board for the opportunity to be able to pursue a career that I can just lawfully take care of my family and do what I love to do. And that's sell things, sell vehicles.
Commissioner Vaughn, can you please tell us a little bit about the incident?
I was 20 years old. I was traveling from California back to Baltimore, Maryland with my girlfriend. We had been on methamphetamine for about 2 weeks straight. We hadn't slept for over 2 weeks. We were very, very heavily intoxicated and very delusional. and we were driving across the United States. We got into Memphis, Tennessee, and I had an altercation with somebody, and I shot him. I was arrested at the scene. I was sentenced to life in prison and with the possibility of parole. I served every bit of the time that they gave me to do. And I made a choice that I wasn't going to let that destroy my life. You know, something my father told me, he said, you got to set yourself apart from everybody else. You got to do something different. And that's what I've done. I did it while I was in, and I'm doing it while I'm out. My philosophy is the same. I can't change what happened, but I can serve people and try to make, redemption for it. That's all I know to do. I was blessed to be able to redeem myself. I just finished rookie school with the DeKalb County Fire Department. They voted me in as a member in spite of my past. They're giving me a second chance. I just finished rookie school last week. I'm going to live burn training this coming weekend in Bell Buckle, Tennessee at the Tennessee Fire Academy to become a full-fledged firefighter for the DeKalb County. I'm proud of it. They didn't just give me a t-shirt or a certificate. I earned every bit of it. 55 years old, I'm crawling through tunnels and got my air pack on. And, it's amazing how many chances you can get when you're willing to lay down your life for other people. But the minute you're asking someone to help you become, to do something for yourself, people always slam the door in your face. Do I deserve that? Do I deserve your mercy? No, I don't. I don't think for a minute that I do. But I'm asking you for a chance. And I promise you, if you give me this license, I will not take it for granted. I will go out there and I'll be the best car salesman the state's ever seen.
Jackson, I do staff. I'm reading this memo from the Officer Adam Stud, which is his probation officer in the document. And I see where almost next to the last sentence, where it says, I'm currently working with Mr. Phillip to petition the court system to change his supervision to unsupervised parole. Now, my question to the staff, since he's still, is he still on supervised parole?
Yes, sir, I am.
Still on supervised parole. Okay.
Like I said earlier, I have all kinds of accountability in place. I'm worth the risk because I have everything to lose. You have a lot of people that come before you. They don't have the accountability that I have, and they don't have the stuff that they can lose. I have everything to lose by messing this up. But to give you some comfort, I've done everything that I can do within my own power and by the grace and mercy of God to be able to live a productive life in spite of all the setbacks that I've had. I was just telling Ashley, it doesn't matter how many setbacks I got. I'm still going to continue to do the next right thing because I believe that if you'll keep doing the next right thing, sooner or later, the next right thing is going to happen for you.
One more question. Have you ever applied for a salesman's license in the state of Tennessee before?
The same dealership a couple years ago, I applied and I was denied. I never filed an appeal because at that place in my life, I was just really defeated. I had to work through some struggles because I've had so many setbacks of people telling me no that I just didn't even bother to appeal it. I didn't come before the board And I just basically just said, I just came to the point, well, I guess I'm just always going to have to do something else, you know. But I left and I went out and I just, you know, finding other employment. I was a production supervisor. If you look, my resume's in there. I had 40 employees under me at Apollo Medical Products in McMinnville. I was the second person other than the owner that was in charge of the production side for the entire company. I was a finance manager for a year with Southern Central Waste. I was over all the DeKalb County billing, over all the billing for Southern Central, and over all the billing for Southern Waste in Manchester. I handled all the billing. When I first started there, they had over 600 bills that they sent out through mail every month. I transitioned them into electronic billing. We were sending out 20 a month after that. Collected over $250,000 from Republic Waste for Southern Central that no one else had the ability to collect. I got that money for them. They trusted me with thousands and thousands of dollars, and they were not disappointed.
This is actually probably a question for the staff. Is it on here where it says you've been denied before? Is it on the application? I thought that it used to say that.
Yes, Commissioner, there is a question on our application that Mr. Phillips filled out that says, that states, have you ever had a license revoked, suspended, or otherwise disciplined by any bond agency, or ever been denied issuance of or pursuant to disciplinary proceedings, refused renewal of a license by any board or state agency in Tennessee or any other state? Mr. Phillips answered no.
Why did you mark no on that when you mean yes?
I'll be honest with you, I may have misunderstood the question, but yeah, the truth is, yes, I was. I'm not really sure I really understood exactly what that was saying, but yeah, I did. I was denied before.
Commissioner Jackson, still I'm going back to the staff. I'm just curious. I mean, with all the different jobs that he's done since he's still on the supervisor parole, how is he able to all these different jobs he's had and still a license, salesman license? I don't. I'm just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this one's a licensed.
Yeah, I understand he's applying for a license to sell cars. I got that. But if he's still on the supervisor parole, how he's able to get all these different jobs? I mean, I know companies have discretion of what they do.
I think that would be my answer. Companies have discretion, especially if they're not a government agency with clear laws and rules about who they can and cannot hire. We just happen to have a statute that clearly states we have discretion to deny under certain circumstances that this applicant falls into.
I'm very impressed what he's done, since since he's out with the supervisor parole. I mean, the job that you presently have, and I'm asking this question. You presently working for, you're a supervisor operation manager at Apollo Medical Product in Minnieville, Tennessee. That's where you're working at now?
That's where I'm still currently employed there. I'm trying to gain employment with Galaxy. I started working for Galaxy, and the reason is because that company's been on shutdown for about the last 3 or 4 months, and I needed to get a job quick. I have bills to pay. I'm not with the foolishness. I work hard. I work hard every day. I'm kind of like a workaholic. I like to work. So, but yeah, so they've been on shutdown. I'm not sure if they're ever going back. I leave it open because I just kind of want to see what they're going to do. But my heart is in this. If I can gain this employment that I want to here at Galaxy, obviously I'm all in on it. And that's why I came to the board this time, because this time I felt like I was in a better spot mentally, spiritually, and had a better opportunity that I could present to the board and ask you to license me so that I could pursue that.
Let me hear from your sponsor.
Hi there, I'm Ashley Cole, the General Sales Manager of Galaxy Ford. Terry is a wonderful employee. I can count on him to do anything from clean the toilets to help me with management of the lot. He's been an asset to our company day one. There's not many people that come into your life and you just know they just have an aura of just, he wants to help everybody. And I know that sometimes that can be a tedious task, but he helps us all there. I feel as if he is completely rehabilitated. You know, he could have went to prison and been like every other inmate and done foolish things. However, he rose above the situation at hand. Our company is a second chance company, and they believe in people who put in work and will do the work. And he has no problems doing whatever and then some that is asked of him. So our dealership was owned previously from a different company, and that's where he got the first denial from. It was Florence and Watt Ford then. So I've been working there since 2019. I started out in the service department. So he and I had a little interaction when I was in the service department. Then I went to sales, and then I just transitioned recently into the general sales manager position. And I knew he was somebody that I could count on, and I wanted him on my team. He's, like I said, he does above what I could ever imagine of someone doing, from reports to helping me write my process, anything and everything.
So how long have y'all known each other?
I would say, when did you start it? Probably 21. I think since.
No, yeah.
Yeah, since 2021. I'm going to say summertime.
So
And we just had interactions in employment. That's it. I don't know him outside of work. Besides in our community, he does a lot of things.
So you've known each other
Mhm.
for a couple of years. And would you be direct supervisor or responsible for his work at the store?
Yes, I would be if he is granted his sales license. As he stated before, he's been doing things like lot portering, those kind of things, because we want to adhere to all your rules and regulations. So if he does obtain the sales license, I will be his direct supervisor, yes.
Make a motion, we grant the license.
The motion by Commissioner Vaughn is to grant licensure. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Melton? Votes aye. Commissioner Elam? Votes aye. Commissioner Andrews?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Watson?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Evans?
No.
Votes no. Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. Mr. Phillips, the commission has voted to grant you licensure, and we will email that license to you at the email address provided sometime today.
Thank you so much.
Very much.
Before we go any further, we've got Commissioner Alex Martin here. And if you'd like to say something to us, feel free to. I just saw you back there, so I just thought it'd be a good time.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Chairman. Great to see the commission members. Appreciate the work that y'all are doing, and appreciate the thoughtful discussion and all the good questions. So just wanted to pop in and say hello. Knew that y'all had a packed agenda this morning. Also want to thank Denise, legal, and all the staff for the great work that they're doing. It's been a busy session, but also a productive time. So we're just trucking right along. Any questions for me?
Thank you for coming.
Sir, great to see y'all. Appreciate you.
We have a wonderful staff, by the way. They do a heck of a job getting everything to us, and we've been on the commission the longest out of everybody here, so we're always thrilled to see them get some praise that they deserve.
Absolutely. They deserve all that praise. You all are deserving of praise too. The other boards will remain nameless, but I will say these meetings are very efficient. So I'll just go ahead and put that on the record. Maybe the A&E board should give that a look. So that just came out. I apologize.
Don't let anybody take our staff.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
We like them.
Understood.
Good.
Thank y'all.
Next one.
I believe that concludes our appeals.
But we had one more on the list.
Oh, right. Well, that's part of the legal report. I don't know if we want to. Okay.
Yeah, just do that.
Okay. So we do have one other appeal listed, and that is Mr. Gamiza. Well, it's the owner of Gamiza Auto Sales, but that is the respondent related to number 23 on the legal report. So I thought we could discuss that during the legal report.
Hey, thank you, Director Parks. You want?
I do. I am pleased to give the report for this quarter. Since our last meeting, we've opened 48 new dealerships, and we have 23 in process. Go on to list the number of dealers currently at 3382 and 30 auctions, and you'll see the numbers listed there as we go along. We've only issued one motor vehicle permit in the last quarter. We've had quite a number of complaints, as was mentioned earlier in our meeting, about that came with the closing of American Car Center. So that really escalated the number of complaints that we've had, but we've successfully navigated as many of those as we could. If anybody has any questions about that, please let me know, and I'll stop and give as much information as I have, which is not much, except that they have filed for bankruptcy protection, and all of the leases, they did a lease agreement as opposed to sales for the most part, and all of the leases have been taken over by Westlake Portfolio Management. We are continuing to reach out to customers and our dealers in distressed counties to see if there's anything that we can do to assist in helping to grow their business. Jason and I will be attending the County Officials Association annual meeting on May the 9th, where I'll give a few brief remarks, but then we will pass out to our county clerks the much anticipated code book that I've left a copy for each of you on your desk, and you may have as many of these as you desire. So just let me know if you want some more, and I will get those to you today. I think that's about all. I just wanted to share with you that we are busy as usual, fielding consumer complaints and some dealer complaints. I think you'll see a couple of large issues in the upcoming legal report, but that's about all I had to report.
Right. Next is the legal report.
We need to adopt the director's report.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry
Commissioner
about that.
Jackson, I motion that we adopt the director's report.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right. Got that adopted.
Thank you.
Legal report.
Yeah, can I have one moment,
Yeah.
Chairman? Okay, thank you, Chairman. And I will go into the legal report. First, if we can discuss number 23, which we put on hold. If everyone will turn to number 23. And as you can see, number 23 has two complaints, quite similar, in that the respondent sold salvage vehicle without a rebuilt title and also issued temporary tags to the salvage vehicle. And we've also not gotten responses to the complaints. We've had to conduct investigations because we're not getting a response from the respondent. And this is the third time that that has happened. And as you can see in the first summary, the respondent also has an outstanding consent order that the commission already approved, a $3,000 civil penalty for selling a salvage vehicle without a rebuilt title in the past. That has not been signed by the respondent, so that would probably lead to a formal hearing. And since we have all of these at once up for discussion, we have the respondent here. If the commission would like to ask any questions of the respondent before deciding on what kind of penalty to assess based on all of that information. Would the commission like to speak to the respondent? Okay, Mr. Gmeza, you can go over to the microphone.
Hey, any questions from you all, from the other commissioners?
That's Commissioner Watson. Why haven't you filled out any, responded to any of these complaints? Could you speak into the microphone, please?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I talked to commissioner. We had issue at the shop. I had a guy work with me, and he stole all the titles and the paperwork, and we had a police report. I did it, and we talked to the commissioner about it. And till now, we're fighting to get the titles back, and that's what my reason.
So you did inform the commission, because our legal team is unaware of that.
I mean, we're aware of that during the investigation, but I'm not sure why the respondent hasn't. We send out a complaint to the respondent every time we get a complaint, and we've never gotten a response. We've only talked to him once we send an investigator out. And as we know, there's a rule that requires respondents to respond to the commission within 30 days. So that's not been happening.
When you say you were fighting to get the titles back, you mean you were filing for lost titles to get them replaced? Or, I guess for legal, isn't there a process for this if you have something like that happen? You say you had the titles stolen by a former employee, and was the remedy for having your titles stolen to file for lost title on those vehicles so you could supply them to the customer, or was there some other process you were doing?
Mr. Jackson, can you provide the staff where you have New York, New Jersey, any of those locations that you requested for duplicate title for those vehicles that has been sold? Can you provide any of that information to the staff?
But I don't have it with me.
When the investigator came out, did you have any information to show the investigator that these titles been stolen, and here's the information that I can share with you that I'm trying to get duplicate title from these different states for these vehicles? Did you have any information to share with the investigator along those lines? No, I don't quite understand. If you gave the investigator information that showed that you have requested from these states about the title, duplicate title, because they've been stolen, then he would have had that information. Then he would have brought it back to the staff and shared it with the staff. So that's what I'm trying to understand. Make sure that, because if you had that information and you shared it with the investigator, well, he would have brought it, or she would have brought it back to the Motor Vehicle Commission and shared that with the staff.
We do have a copy of the police report that was shared with us.
But I heard his testimony that he's trying to, these different states trying to get duplicate title. All I'm asking is that if he can provide something that show this commission, I'm making a good faith effort, to find in these different states request for the duplicate title because of the stolen. That's my question. That's my concern.
My question would be also, what timeline, even though we don't have the documents, what timeline are you talking about that you began that process with these different states, and how long has that been taking?
Don't push the button to speak.
I'm sorry. Ma'am, I've been really dealing with hard to deal with people. Even I told the commissioner, and I gave him the phone numbers for the auction, like in New York and stuff like this. They said after 6 months, we cannot get it faster processing for the title and everything. And I think it take maybe another month or 2 months, and I have everything done for the 3 cars. I've been complaining about it. Or less than, hopefully.
Commissioner Vaughn, I have a question for you. Do you understand the laws of the state of Tennessee as related to motor vehicle commission or motor vehicle sales?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand selling salvage titles and all the things that you're accused of not doing properly? Do you have an understanding of any of it?
Yes, ma'am. Before we bought the car, that customer has the car. I bought it for him. He wanted salvage. It's not. He wanted from Cobalt. The customer, I bought him the car. He knows about it, and I bought it for them to be they are salvage. They knows that. I didn't buy him a car for myself and resell it in the shop. I bought it for them as a salvage car.
Do you realize that you're not supposed to sell a salvage title vehicle to a retail customer?
Yes.
The temp tag issue of issuing temp tags to salvage vehicles. I just want to bring.
That's what I was not doing. The commissioner, he told me last time when he was there, and I told him I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not going to register any car till we get solved the problem with the titles.
Is this something that staff has recommendations for remedy to this? Or I don't know where we go and it's a little off from what I'm used to in these kind of format.
Well, normally we issue, when it's a first offense, we issue a civil penalty of $2,500 when you sell a salvage vehicle without disclosure. And then, how much is temp tags? I think it might be $500 per temp tag issued to a salvage vehicle. Second offense, it's a little more. The civil penalty goes up. Third offense, it's usually we don't offer a settlement and we have a formal hearing. In this case, all of these 3 incidents did happen in 2022. So it's to me that's a little bit different. And I wasn't sure if the respondent understood because I haven't been able to get much of a response. So I just thought it would be a good time before we bring everybody in for a formal hearing to talk about it first. So, it's $2,500 civil penalty for selling a salvage vehicle without a rebuilt title, and it's $2,500 per temp tag issued for first offense. So,
but there's currently an outstanding $3,000
there is an outstanding, and I'm not sure why the respondent has not signed it.
Let's ask him. How come you haven't signed the previous consent order?
To be honest with you, I don't know about. I know there's a penalty, but I don't know how to do it. I'm sorry, and I'm ready to pay the fine if I have fine.
How long have you had a a license to sell vehicles?
Years, 2 years. And I never came in this situation before. And it just came everything together and it's mixed up.
Right. But you understand you're in this situation now mostly because you're refusing to communicate with the staff who's been trying to figure out what's happening. I'm impressed that you came here today to try to understand and explain things because you haven't been able to explain anything to them or even tried to explain anything to them. So I think this commission is concerned that we're not sure you know what you're supposed to do because you're not able or you're not willing to explain it to anyone. So how can you make this commission feel comfortable that you are able to do everything that you're supposed to do in the state of Tennessee? Maybe this book will help you so that we can continue to allow you to continue to sell vehicles in the state.
Yeah, really, especially last year, I've been in bad things in my life as stolen cars, and I made the police report. I had like 7 cars is gone, titles, healthy was not good at all, and you wouldn't believe it, I lost like 50 pounds since last year to up to date. But I'm trying to get everything together, and I was with the investigation last month, and I show him everything I'd done it, and he showed me what I should do about the salvage title. I make everybody sign it. Is this rebuilt car salvage title, and I believe I never have any complaint about this after this situation, and that's the only three complaints. The 3 cars that we have problem with it, and now I hope everything is gonna be good. I did everything the way it's supposed to be. If you give me.
But to the staff, what would be the total amount of fines at this point that we would have accrued?
I just have a couple minutes and I can get that for you.
Can I say something?
Yes.
The guy, he's stolen my titles and my cars. I give the name and everything to the investigation, to the Metro Police, but nobody helped me either.
So are you still trying to sell the cars without the titles?
No, ma'am. That's the cars. I bought the car for this customer specialized, but somehow he came in the office and he grabbed the titles, was going ready to do it the state, and he stole one of the truck titles and he put it in his name. Then we found out, and the police came pick up the truck from him, and we take it back. And another 3 still he jacked me left or right every time. But when I had the police there, I gave him the name, the VIN number of the cars, and everything, but nobody do nothing about it.
Sir, do you have a police report backing up that you turned this in?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, he provided that to us, the police report, yes.
So the guy you bought the car for stole the title to it?
That's on.
Are your titles not locked up in a
Well,
safe?
it's in the office, and he's coming every time buying a car and stuff. I was trustable. I put in the disk to send it to the state, and I dismiss it. I cannot find it. Then after 3 months, after we're looking for the titles, we found one of the car he put in his name. And nobody asked me. I didn't sign for a title for him or bill of sale or nothing. We just find the car in his name. And when we called the police and he get the car back, they didn't do nothing about it. Just to bring the car back to us and the title.
So who checks the mail at your office? Do you check the mail? Do you open the mail? Do you check the emails that would come from the commission as well?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're the person that would have received the complaint from the commission?
Yes, ma'am. But I was really confused. I didn't know what I'm doing. I lost everything, you know. You know, when sometimes you have like everything up and down.
Well, this is definitely a serious concern of mine that you're stating that you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, really, I know what I'm doing, but the problem, it just came together, everything. You imagine like when everything you have, somebody stole it from you, and I was like full things. I said, oh, I'm going to get it back. I called the police, and I called, even I told the the inspector when he coming in, and I thought like everything is gonna be fine, but never came fine.
Mr. Jackson, for the staff, does he have salesman license of an individual that works for him?
Give us just a minute.
Okay.
But I can speak to the civil penalty. So including the $3,000 outstanding, if we were to go by our agreed citation schedule, it would be $33,000. And that includes 8 temp tags that have been issued to 2 salvage vehicles.
Commissioner, that was all in 2022.
That was all in 22. It was
All 8
in
temp
about
tags.
5 months of 2022.
My concern is, what do we do to protect the consumer? They have good intentions, but it just, I don't know what we do.
And I'm confused. You said there's 3 matters that we're looking at, but there's only two
One
complaints.
just referring to the
Yes.
one that's outstanding.
There's also one that's outstanding, but they're all the same issue.
Same story was provided all 3 times that
Yes.
I bought the car from the auction. They wanted to, knowing it was a salvage title, and they wanted to do it.
Yes, I do have confirmation from at least one complainant that has cooperated that said they did know it was salvaged. There was just no proper paperwork. And I think what the respondent's saying now is that the investigator who's worked with him has explained that this has to be used in the future. I don't think the respondent understood that they had to have that document, but it sounds like he did inform the buyer that has cooperated with us that it was salvaged. But then we have the issue of issuing temp tags, which I don't understand.
The future in this case scares me. What's, from my education, what steps do we take to revoke the dealer license?
If the decision would be to revoke, we offer the respondent a consent order admitting to the violations, and they can hand over their revocation. You can do with or without a civil penalty. And if they don't agree to that, we have a formal hearing and present all the evidence, just like a trial.
What's the situation if the fine is of an amount that's not payable with the liquidity of the store? What happens then?
If we issue a civil penalty and it's not paid, it goes to collections.
Well, we can also.
But we have the discretion. If you're also revoking a license, there's a lot of discretion on, is there a purpose behind a civil penalty with a revocation?
Agree.
And they can do a payment plan as well. Is that correct?
We can offer a payment plan.
I think the issue is whether, do we have a situation where it's a paperwork error, he now understands the requirements of the paperwork, he pays a fine, we keep monitoring him, make sure there's no issues in the future, or whether we feel that he's going to be able to do that, in which case we should recommend revocation. Do you feel that in your communications with him, he now understands what he's supposed to do and will do it properly in the future?
I will say that there's not been any, even though these are newer complaints, there's not been any complaints about any vehicle sold since 2022. So that does seem to corroborate that he's changed his practices. I think the respondent showing up, I didn't know until right before this, but him showing up shows a lot, that he wants to do the right thing and follow the laws now that he understands them. I'm concerned, we have the discretion, we have factors to consider when issuing civil penalties. And some of those should be, one of those to consider is what the amount is related to the business, how much business he's doing. So I think $30,000, although it's deserved, I think that might not be possible for this respondent. So
You didn't know he was coming until this morning to jump on that
On my
question.
way, yes.
Right. So had you found out yesterday while you're finalizing the report, and he did communicate with you, and he's willing to come and explain to the commission what's happening, what would your recommendation have been had you had time to process it.
Well, and I just want to jump in really quick and answer Commissioner Jackson's question. He has one licensed salesperson, and it's him at his location.
How many vehicles do you sell a month? Average.
Right now it's dead, like one or two.
How long has it been dead for? Since 2022?
Since maybe last October.
Last October?
Yes.
So really that represents a lot of his business.
So I apologize.
I'm not talking directly to you, Denise. Okay. Sorry, but just the few violations. He's not doing a lot of volume, so there's not a lot of good outweighing the bad's my point.
Well, and I might add, we do require an annual sales report, which I might mention we have not received as of yet from this individual dealer. In 2021, he sold 35 vehicles, and in 2020, he sold 30. So 30 in 2020, 35 in 2021, and we haven't received an annual sales report for 2022, which was due on February 15th.
I think I would probably recommend in this case a $7,500 civil penalty on a payment plan, and we need to audit the dealership as often as I think the director can make possible for at least the next year. And that's something we can put into a consent order if the respondent's willing to agree to that.
Will this help us ensure that the consumer doesn't get hurt in the future?
Can I discuss this for a second with the
Right.
Sorry, yeah, we're just trying to come up with a consensus of. I think that.
Make sure your microphone's on, Mr. Chairman.
I did not. Thank you. You said you drove in from Illinois this morning. Do you live there?
No, sir. We had our holiday last week, Friday, and we was with family. Yeah.
So you live near your business?
Yes, sir.
Approximately how far?
I live in Smith Spring Road.
I mean, what's the distance?
About 7 miles.
7 miles, because you're the only salesperson and you own it. Just wanted to see how you were able to maintain that. Okay. Erica, you want to give us a recommendation on this one?
I believe the staff does have another quick question for you. Are you only selling salvage vehicles, or is that
No, both.
okay? Both. Okay. And is this the only business you're operating, or yes? Okay.
Could I also ask, has
Have you had a license under a different name in the state of Tennessee before?
When before?
Anytime prior?
I had a car lot long in 1990, but long time.
Different car lot. What's the name of that lot?
I think Cal Auto Sale was. I can't remember. It's almost 30 years ago. Yeah.
So you've been in the car business before?
Yes. And I left the car business. I came back again. I wish I didn't come back again.
Did you have any prior issues with that lot, the lot in 1990? No. Okay.
How many vehicles did you sell back then?
Yeah.
Your previous,
1990.
yeah, 1990.
How many cars did you sell in 1990?
It's a lot. We used to ship them overseas, and inside sale was the business really good. I can't remember, but at least like a year, maybe 300-400 cars.
Were they new cars, used cars,
No,
salvage cars?
Used, most of the time used, yeah.
None of those were retail in the state of Tennessee. They were all just shipped out.
No. There is retail too.
Double check.
Special vehicles? Were they 5 speeds or what were they?
No. Just regular vehicles.
Regular vehicles.
Yes. We had time to ship cars to the Middle East, like, the big cars and SUVs and stuff like this that time. Life was good.
Okay. If there's no more questions, I feel comfortable making a recommendation at this point. And my recommendation is for the 2 new complaints that are on this legal report, a $10,000 civil penalty, and the terms need to include that we are going to audit the dealership every month for a year. And if there are any issues, it would be the respondent agrees to surrender their license immediately. And also, I think it's important that we require the respondent to sign both of these consent orders while he's here today. So that would be a total of $13,000 in civil penalties. Yeah, that we can put on a payment plan for up to a year. So I think it's important to discuss if the respondent is able to do that, because if not, then we need to choose something different.
We just need.
That's what I mean. So,
one addition I would make to that is that he be required to file his annual sales report, which was due February 15th, by the end of the week. And you will have to pay the $100 fine that is due when paying late.
So if you were given, let's say, about a year to pay the $13,000 fine, which would be about a little over $1,000 a month, would that be something that you'd be capable of doing?
Can you do it like 500? Possible. Can you give me a break in the $10,000? It's kind of like a high a little bit.
I think we gave you a break because it could have been 33,000.
Thank you, ma'am.
I would have to, I'm not even able to make the decision to offer a payment plan for longer than a year. I would have to get that from legal management, which would mean we can't.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. So I think
we
that's
just
the
need to
best
stick
we
to the
can
one
do.
year and what you're used to.
So are you willing to sign the 2 consent orders today and agree to pay $13,000 over the course of a year and audits? And you will have to surrender your license if we find any more violations. Okay. So that is my recommendation.
So don't leave that.
Yeah.
Not leaving him. Oh, okay.
Oh, you want to put that in the form of motion?
Are we part of the macro legal report?
Yeah, this is the one one piece that
One
hadn't been
piece is not-
finalized for the legal.
Okay.
report. So I make a motion that we approve the legal report with.
Sorry.
Just do this, just this one.
Just adding this to the legal report.
Yeah, I'm going to go over all the changes, and I'll specifically word this again in my changes to the legal report before.
We can vote on this one.
Add this to the legal report.
I think we just vote on
No.
just this one separately.
Let's vote on this one separately
Yes, ma'am.
and the recommendation. And this would be number 23 on your legal report. And if someone can make the motion,
But we all need to do it.
yes,
Denise?
let's do a roll call vote on just this one particular item that appears on the legal report. And then we'll do the changes that have been made in the legal report by the legal committee.
You need a motion
Divide it
for
up
this.
so
But we need a motion for this one.
I would
We're
like to
gonna
make.
single out 23.
I would like to make a motion to amend 23 $1,000 civil penalty to be paid on a payment plan over 1 year, along with signing both the prior consent decree and this new consent decree for this matter, which will require monthly auditing. Any failures would lead to agreeing to give up his license.
And the annual
And
report.
to file the annual report before the end of the week, including the $100 fine.
Commissioner Vaughn, second.
Further discussion. Want to do a roll call on this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You've heard the motion by Commissioner Levy and seconded by Commissioner Vaughn. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner West?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Melton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Elam?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Andrews?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Watson?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Evans?
Aye.
Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts.
Aye.
The motion passes. Now we should go, I guess, to the full legal report.
And Chairman, if it's okay, I'll go over the changes that
Okay,
to
please
the
do.
to the legal report. And we've got a few, so just bear with me. Number one, the recommendation is going to be authorizing a letter of warning. Number 14, authorizing a $3,500 civil penalty and accepting respondents' offer to provide us with a mitigation plan as part of the terms of that consent order. Number 24, we are authorizing a $15,000 civil penalty and referring this matter to the Tennessee Auto Auctions. Number 25, authorizing revocation of the dealer license and referring to the Department of Revenue. Number 26, authorize a letter of warning for failure to disclose flood damage prior to purchase. Number 29, we are going to leave open and authorize council to send this out for investigation to find out more information from the clerk's office about unlicensed sales. So you will be seeing this one again on the next legal report. Number 30, authorize to close this and refer it to law enforcement and the Attorney General's office and the Department of Revenue and Georgia's Motor Vehicle Department. Number 32, close and flag and also refer this to Mississippi's Department
Motor vehicle.
Motor Vehicle Commission, as well as the Tennessee Department of Revenue. And 63 and 64, they are related, and the recommendation for 63 will be to authorize a $119,000 civil penalty plus a suspension of the dealership for 5 days meaning they have to close down for 5 days continuously. And that applies to this dealership and their used dealerships that were involved in these violations. So that is 1 new franchise dealership and 3 used dealership locations. And for 64, authorize a $75,250 civil penalty, and that includes the 5-day suspension of that dealership as well. And that concludes the changes to the legal report.
Jackson, motion that up the legal report as read with all the amendments.
Commissioner Melton, second.
Further discussion. Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll on this vote?
I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. Okay, I want to make sure I get all of the complaints this is related to. Okay. Which one is it? Where does it start? Number 74, number 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87. Those are all related. They're the same respondent. And we ask that the commission give the director authorization to close and flag all future complaints related to this respondent. So we don't have to present them because they're continuing to come in considering the situation. A lot of them.
And
so that's part of the legal report. We don't have to do anything special.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
By the commissioners.
Like to remake the motion with this addition, Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, Commissioner Jackson would like to remake the motion to adopt the added amendment of number 80, 75 through 88.
Second.
Further discussion. Director Lawrence, will you call the roll?
before I call the roll, I'd like to ask Commissioner West to recuse himself. Thank you. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Melton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Elam? Votes aye. Commissioner Andrews?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Watson?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Jackson?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Evans?
Aye.
Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. You have adopted the legal report as amended. Thank you.
Longest one I've seen. But it's good.
You had a lot.
Yes.
You had a lot.
All right. Next is legislative updates. Erica, you got something on that?
We do not have any legislative updates
Okay.
today.
They're gone.
Reports, I don't think we.
There are none.
Audit committee hasn't met, rules hasn't met, so we're on the new business. We've got a new committee assignment that we'll be passing out at this time. Thank you all for being willing to serve, serving on the commission, and also the chairs for taking care of the different. That will wind up the. Do we need to opt that? Okay. Old business, Music City Autoplex required appearance. Okay. Would you like to come up?
And just to introduce this matter, you should have something in your packet. It's titled Music City Autoplex Summary and Consent Order. And that just gives you some background on the complaint that's led to their appearance today. And they have signed the consent order that you authorized. They have paid their $1,250 civil penalty. And part of that consent order, the terms were that they were to appear today for any questions that the commission might have about how they may have changed their practices to conform and avoid future violations, and just any questions you may have considering their history of discipline.
That's the first question I've got. Are you sure, have you got these rules down right?
Yes, sir. We honestly, in terms of our website, we use a company called Dealer Inspire, and we just didn't have an awareness of the wording and things that they put in the website to make it an attractive website, both to read, to also in SEO for search engine optimization. And we realized too late, that we needed to really take a look at this from a rules and regulations, a legal perspective, and just doing the right thing. And so we had Cameron and Worley go top to bottom on our website, and they made great recommendations. A disclaimer that we put in, big, bold, red disclaimer on there, and a bunch of other things. Some of them are nuanced. Some of them are, you can't say this, but we learned. We learned. We honestly, we just didn't take it seriously enough, or wasn't aware enough that we really needed that kind of expertise to be looking at how we were.
Could you gentlemen introduce yourselves and your title?
Sure. I'm John Hooper. I'm the GM for retail at Music City Autoplex.
I'm Spencer Lau. I'm the comptroller.
And Spencer also handles a lot of our technology things, so I didn't want to get over my head.
Which one of you is responsible for advertising?
I am.
Okay.
Well, in terms of overarching responsibility, yes, ma'am, that would be me.
Thank you, and hopefully you got these rules.
Sir, thank you for what you're doing.
We look forward to not seeing you back here.
Yes, likewise. Thank you.
Okay, I think that concludes everything for today. Got a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, Commissioner Jackson.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. There shouldn't be.
Thank you for your patience.